Hello and welcome back to my Eruption of Shame. Today we have, well, the September Humble Games, the Amazon Games, and the various bundles I thought worth spotlighting today. Starting off with the Humble Games, as always, we have a fairly strong showing, at least on the front of it, so that's good. Going to click on the first one. Now, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is related to Borderlands, obviously, because it's Tiny Tina. But it's basically they took the DLC that allowed you to play Bunkers and Badasses, the in-game idea of a Dungeons and Dragons alternative, and they took it and turned it into a whole game. Now, I already own this game, and I'm guessing a few other people do too, because there's been a series of fairly deep discounts over the time on this. But that being said, it's a co-op game, which means this is actually the perfect one to receive in a bundle, because you can give it to someone and play with them. So, yay. Also, this is good because now it means Para will have it. So when I finally get around to rolling Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, I'll be able to play it with Para, hopefully. Next one is Deceive Inc. And, yeah. This one looks really cool in terms of the aesthetic and, like, what they're going for in terms of, like... But I read more into it. It's a multiplayer only game, unfortunately. So it's not my sort of thing in the slightest, which is a shame because this aesthetic and this look. I mean, if it was single player, or it even had bots in whatever it was doing, had a bit of storyline, had a campaign, whatever, it would actually be quite good for me. But as it stands, I'm gonna skip on this one. Next one is the Forgotten Cities. Now, this one's been around for a few years now, obviously. That's why it's in the bundle. But it always looked rather beautiful. And it had massively high ratings. Not just reviews, but also on Steam. It's always had overwhelmingly positive reviews. From what I can tell, it's sort of like an RPG in the Roman times, which, I mean, I'm there for it. I'm definitely glad to have this one. It was on my wish list. So I think this, for me, is probably the highlight of the bundle this time around. Next one is Aces and Adventures, the first of multiple card-based games. This one seems a little bit more traditional than usual card-based battlers you'd find, but as you can see, has a beautiful aesthetic, and why not, right? It was on my wish list, so this is another one I consider to be a positive pickup, which is good. I do say, though, generally if you've seen one card battle, you've seen them all. Though this one does seem to use a lot more dice, which is fun. Next one is Patch Quest. Little roguelike, looks like. A little adventure sort of going around thing. I mean, it looks fairly nice. Sort of like the quality of like... I mean, it looks very similar to like a Nintendo game, doesn't it? I'd be very surprised if it wasn't on the Switch as well. Either way, not a bad pickup, though I do admit I already owned this one, so I'm not. I had to find someone to give it to. Maybe Foosh. Foosh likes cute things. Then we have Four Tails, another card battler. So we got way more of those. This one's looking closer towards the Gwent sort of layout of things, or the Hearthstone layout of things, rather than the ones we see with the roguelike card battlers. But still, cards, once again, look pretty pretty. It's interesting that they have two of these in one bundle, though. You'd think that maybe that may not be the best idea. But if they're going for card-based and narrative-driven, then that sounds pretty good to me, because they're two things I really love. But I know some people have enough of card games in general. So, yeah. This one's a weird one. It's one of those FMV style games. I played a couple of these over time, like Late Shift and such. And I've still got like 5 dates and a few others to keep playing. I bought a bunch of these when I thought I wanted to give them a better go, and I thought it'd be interesting. So I already own this one, but I think this is one of those ones which is so random and silly and strange, you might find something to at least look at for a little bit. It depends on how it is, though. Some of these can be quite tedious, and others, well, not. there's a lot of these FMV games that sort of like jump you around in various different timelines and such. This one, I'm not sure if it's going to be jumping you around, but yeah. It seems like a lighter one though, because realistically, who pressed mute on Uncle Marcus? Okay. Now, Autonauts used to be a building game where you could build a city, etc., and it was quite nice. Then it had this version, which was Autonauts vs Pirates, which to me never really had as much of an interesting hook to me. I rather build the settlements than have to defend them. That being said, I think it's based on the same sort of platform, same sort of system, so they probably didn't have to do too much additional work for making this, and you might as well turn to another game. Either way, if you don't have this one, it may be a decent pickup, but for me, I'm a little bit apprehensive about trying this one, since it seems like it's not exactly what I was looking for in this sort of game. But overall, this bundle, I think, looks pretty good. So, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is good for anyone, because we can give it to co-op games, give it to people if we need it to. I've got a couple of things on my wish list. Actually, yeah, it's these two. A couple of card games, which I'm okay with, but I know a lot of people aren't. And some weird ones you wouldn't have really expected. So, while I would love to replace Deceiving, everything else here seems fairly competent. So yay. What do you guys think about this humble bundle? Are you going to be getting it yourself? Do you own all the games? Do you own none of the games? Do the games look even remotely interesting to you? I'm not sure. I'm just having a first look at these right now. Now, obviously, I've been playing nothing but Starfield for the last, since it came out. So, that's what I've mostly been doing, just recording more and more Starfield. But God, it's fun. But yeah, so anyway, let's have a look what else we got. Now, for the Humble Bundle games, there are a number of them. However, I know about this month. So the first game we're going to get on September the 7th, tomorrow, is Football Manager 2023. Now, I played 2020 of this and found myself getting so aggressively angry at it and annoyed at its existence that I basically didn't even release the video because I just hated the game so much, Football Manager 2020. This one does at least seem like you can watch football matches, which I couldn't seem to work out in Football Manager 2020. It never got to that far. But yeah, I think this is a very niche title. If you understand football and you understand your teams and you understand all that sort of jazz, then maybe you'll have a good time. But for me, this one is not exciting at all. Then we got Ozymandias Bronze Age Empire game, the first of 2 games to be released on September the 14th of this month. Ozymandias is a 4X game, meant to be a shortened 4X game. It says build an empire in a single sitting. I mean, to me, it just shows me like it's a more simple game. It's almost like the board game sort of setup to me. That being said, it looks good. It seems like it could be fun, and I'm looking forward to giving it a go eventually in general. So yay. The second game on the 14th is Absolute Tactics Daughters of Mercy. It's a turn-based tactical RPG. Doesn't look like many people played this one since its release in 2022, which is kind of a shame. Tactical RPGs can be fun. Like I always liked Final Fantasy Tactics, and I had some fun recently with a couple of ones off my mountain, so I don't see any problem with getting this, to be honest. So yeah, not a bad pickup. Probably the first one I'm actually interested in this setup here. Next one is Dexter's Stardust, the first game released on September 21. So the 21st of September. Dexter's Stardust apparently is a point-and-click adventure, and I have never heard of it before, which is kind of crazy given that I love point-and-click adventures, even though I haven't really played many recently. I usually get them on my wish list, but this one I don't think I've heard about. Watch me already own it, but no. Yeah, so I'm not opposed to these depending on how well they go. Like, I obviously, the LucasArts games set a very high bar for this style of adventure game, and the question is whether it's going down more the LucasArts realm or going down more the Surreal realm. The second game released on September 21 is going to be Shotgun King. Now, don't get me wrong, this game is well rated and all that, but it was also in the last Humble Bundle and was in one of the Fanatical bundles recently. So chances are you already own this. So it's less of an interesting thing. And because it's Amazon Prime, you usually can't gift it unless it's a GOG key. So, yeah. And finally, the game on the 28th. One of them is going to be possibly on that weird website that's all for spot the difference and such. Magic Eyes and such. This one is on also coming out on the 28th. It is 100 Days of Winemaking Simulator. I always thought this one looked very beautiful. Looked very interesting. I do own it, but I haven't played it yet. I don't even drink, but it looks really fun. So I think this is a good one if you haven't got it. That being said, ooh, there's a duck. Oh yeah, I'm definitely just putting ducks on all of my wine. That much is sure. Or owls if they'll let me. But yeah, so I think this one's a cool one if you don't already have it. So yep. Now, as for the Humble Bundles and Fanatical Bundles, there are 3 really good bundles coming out currently on Humble Bundle that are about to time out. The first is this one. It came out right around the same time as when it was before Starfield. I basically played this and then I got Journey to Savage Planet on my mountain and then I released it early. So that's how much I like that one. So this is where I got my Steam key at least of Journey to Savage Planet. Though it should be said you may already have one on Epic. Other games in the bundle, pretty nice. High on Life is obviously the highlight there. It's very expensive usually, so this is probably the cheapest way I've seen to get it so far, which is nice. A lot of talking in that game, a lot of humor, so it sounds a good one. Then you've got the original Outer Worlds, which some people still say is better than the remaster, so probably good to have both. So that's not a bad little pickup there either. Trover Saves the Universe is very similar to High on Life because it's made by Justin Roiland and same group as the Rick and Morty one. I guess we won't be seeing any more games like that anymore, will we? But yeah, Trover Saves the Universe is essentially a VR. Well, it doesn't have to be VR anymore, but I played in VR. It's quite a good VR game, though. Basically, it's designed in such a way that you sit and stay seated on that seat. And basically, you are I think it's called Chairlorpian or something, and you just sit in your chair, controlling the game with a controller, just like you actually are doing to play the game. And it's got a lot of comedy, a lot of good use of VR if you're in the VR section. And yeah, it's just a fun little game, like nothing wrong with it. Now the Entropy Center, this one's on my mountain. I just rolled it as well, strangely enough. I have not played it yet. It's my next game to play, I believe. I don't know if I'll get around to it anytime soon with Starfield on, but still, I have rolled it, so it'll be interesting to see what this is like. It's apparently a puzzle game, like one of those puzzlers, so I'm assuming it's like a Portal-style puzzler, not obviously in mechanics, but we'll see how engaging it is and how much story it tells me. Journey to Savage Planet, I just played this one. It is fantastic, as you know. Breath Edge, really want to play this. It always thought it looked good, has a chicken in it, why not? So that's a good bundle. The other bundle, this is ending in 3 days' time. If you build it, they will come. Once again, it's got a really good selection of games. I did buy the lower end because I already own the upper one. I got Evil Genius 2, another copy of it. Panorama is what I really wanted. Airborne Kingdom's pretty good. Frozen Heights pretty good. But in this upper level, the Tenants is meant to be very good and has a bunch of free patches. It's just a lot of fun. Prehistoric Kingdom is still upcoming. It's still being made. It's still in very, very early access. However, when I last played it, it was actually really good to the point where I put it back on my mountain. It was a recording error, so I couldn't get this one out and release it. But I was like, no, I'm gonna re-put it on the mountain. Next time, I'll play it properly on the mountain, and I'm gonna give it a better chance. And there's a reason for it. It's really good. And the Universe Sim, which is also very good. Still in early access, but it's coming out at some point, hopefully. Next one is the 3D Platformers bundle. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of interesting things in here. I didn't buy this one just because I already owned a lot of them, but Hat in Time is amazing, just to say. That's the main one I want to highlight. I'm sure some of the other ones are good too. Pumpkin Jack's been given out on Epic and it's been given out on Humble Bundle multiple times, so that's probably not that important. You probably already got that one. But some of these other ones, not too bad. But yeah, Hat in Time. If you haven't played Hat in Time, it's fantastic. Now on to the Fanatical bundles. There really isn't very much good, interesting things on Fanatical bundle right now, unfortunately. So Fanatical's Diamond Collection Reloaded Edition. This one I probably would have bought if I actually needed the games, but I owned most of them. YouTuber's Life 2, if it's anything like YouTuber's Life 1, it would be pretty good to pick up. Maneater is a fun time, a little bit of a crazy romp. Menorah, I played that before for a little bit. It was quite okay. Road 96, I've heard very good things, still haven't played it yet. Obviously, Dead Island is a good pickup. Metro can be a good pickup. Encase can be a good pickup. I backed that on Kickstarter, so that's nice. The other thing I would say is these Harvest Moon games are not the Harvest Moon games you know. These are ones that are made post the split. So these are not Harvest Moon games, like not in the traditional sense. Harvest Moon became Story of Seasons, and most of the games that you used to play as a kid were Story of Seasons now. So Friends of Mineral Town, for example, was re-released as Story of Seasons, Friends of Mineral Town. A Wonderful Life has now been released as Story of Seasons, A Wonderful Life, and they're doing a bunch of re-releases of the good old classics. But that name Harvest Moon, which is owned by the English publishing arm, it's they decide to keep making games, and from what I've been able to tell, they do not have the same heart and soul of the originals in any way. I just don't want to own it. I know I probably should, but it won't be this bundle because I own everything else here. I'm not going on my way to buy this. Like, I don't know. It's just disappointing because, like, Harvest Moon used to be absolutely amazing, and now they're just using the name for trash, which is a shame. Next one and second last one is the Build Your Own Super Summer Bundle. As you see, a few things are almost out, but yep. Nothing too crazy in this bundle. I just got Lost Words Beyond the Page on my mountain, and it was quite fun, though it's unfortunately sold out apparently. But yeah, a few random things here. I don't think there's anything I'd really jump out of my skin to get. And finally, Build Your Own Slayer Bundle. There is more than this, but these are the ones that had the most interesting things to share in general. I say that after not saying anything about the previous one, but yeah, I don't know. Like the current set of bundles in Fanatical is pretty low, and the current set of bundles in Humble is really good. But they're both running out. They'll both be starting new bundles shortly. We're about to see another the September bundle launch on Fanatical that hasn't launched yet. It will launch a couple of days, and then we'll see what actually happens. Either way, thank you for joining me on my Eruption of Shame to look at the games that are being given out and being sold currently this month. Did you like any of these games, or which do you think did better, Humble or Amazon this month? Either way, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you'll continue to play games and continue to join me when I keep playing more Starfield, because I'm going to keep playing more Starfield, damn it. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.